All right, well, it's another edition of Frank Walks, and this time we are joined by a legend of the hardwood, Allan Houston, New York Knicks former All-Star, 2000 gold medal winner, and of course, he now works for the Knicks front office, and we're gonna be joining him on a nice walk, reminiscing about his playing days. So, come along, sit down by me side by side, let's go for a walk. Well, thank you for joining me on walk. Well, this is walk 166.
This is 166?
Yes, walk 166.
Okay.
I know it's 25th anniversary of the 1999 playoff run. The first 8 seed ever to make the NBA Finals. What was that run like?
Man, 25 years, huh?
25 years, hard to believe.
It is. Well, I think it starts back before that run. You know, in '98, I had in the '98 playoffs, I felt something in the back of my knee, and found out, you know, I had to have like some cartilage removed from the back of my knee. And going into the '99 season, you know, I had my microfracture knee surgery, and it really gave me a little bit of a chance because we had a work stoppage, so it gave me a little chance to come into the season, you know, a little bit more rest, but that was also that, you know, very intense season where we only played 55 games, you know, it was very intense, shortened season. We had, I think, 3 or 4 games where we played 3 games back to back to back. So and
no one was talking about load management back then.
No, I was talking about load management back then, and so we had to really kind of make a lot of adjustments, get used to each other. But we knew we had talent. We knew we had, you know, we knew we had a lot to work with. We just had to find a rhythm, and we didn't have a lot of time to do it. So I think we had to win 6 out of 8 games at the end of the season, regular season games, just to make the playoffs. So if you think about the play-in, that was our play-in. So we came into the playoff series ready. You know, you always want to have some type of momentum and rhythm, you know, when you come into the playoffs. And I felt like we had that, you know, with Spree and Marcus Camby. We made a bit of an adjustment to play with some more pace, speed, gave us some versatility. You know, with Spree and myself, I think, you know, we created some mismatch problems for a lot of teams. And, you know, defensively, we were always going to be strong defensively because that was our philosophy. It was always Jeff's philosophy and the team's philosophy. But we just wanted to play with more pace. So in the playoffs, that was one of the things that helped us, is that we added some speed, you know, to our format.
Now, of course, the big rival was the Miami Heat. I mean, the way they kind of the dirty tactics they used to win '97, and the battles you've had with Riley, and just the way he stabbed the team in the back, and then the hatred you had of the Heat, and you won that big game in Miami, Game 5.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like?
Well, yeah, I mean, you go back into the '97, '98 series, we always faced each other. And they were like, you know, I always look at it like they were like, you know, playing against your brother, right? You know each other, you fight each other, you kill each other. And because you know each other so well, and we knew each other so well, so it made up for that much more intense of a matchup. So, you know, going back into that series, you know, you had 5 games, and it came down to that 5th game, and we always felt like we had a little bit of a psychological advantage. That's the way we felt. It's what we believed, and so we never felt like we were out of a game, especially, in that. If we never felt like we were out of a situation. So when we get down to game 5, we got down, and you have a late stretch. And during that last possession, we didn't have a timeout. And I think back, because in the end of the regular season, we actually had a very similar play. It wasn't an out of bounds play, but it was a tip in. Well, we tipped it in, but because they didn't have reviews, they didn't count it. But you look back and look at the regular season and the replay, we actually won that regular season game. So I felt like there was a little bit of a, comeback for us. But yeah, I mean, the thing I always say about situations like that, I didn't really have a really good game, and for my standards, but you can always find a way to make an impact during a game. And I always felt like at least I can always try to find a way to, be effective late in games. Even if I don't make a shot, I want to be a threat. And fortunately, we knew the play. What's up, man? All right. Just don't play while you're in the car, though. Much love. Appreciate that. Yeah, so, it was second most memorable Knicks play in my life.
What's the first most memorable play?
The first most memorable moment was game 6, 99. After that, when we beat Indiana in the Garden. And the reason that was the most memorable for me is my wife and I had prayed and prayed and prayed because she was pregnant. So we were like, don't have this baby in the Garden. Wait until, if you can. We were like, God, just wait until we can get this game over with. And we knew if we won that game in Indiana at home, game 6, that we were going to go to the hospital the next day, and my first baby was going to be born, and I was going to be off to San Antonio for game 1. So that was a most memorable time by far as a Knick for me.
I mean, the late 90s Knicks, they were just gritty and always tough. And of course, 97 was when the controversy with the fight, and David Stearns had like these ridiculous rules where there was no gray area, and the fight's by your bench, and it's like you're not even getting involved, and then they get suspended, and it's my theory that Riley set that holding up.
Well, we can. Sorry, man. I'll go across here. I'm not the type to get into levels of conspiracy. That's just me, because I feel like whether it's officiating, things like that, you put yourself in situations, and eventually it'll come back. But that being said, that was beyond disappointing, man. That was a one that I felt they took from us.
I always felt that was just like that was a team I think had a fighter's chance.
I think that was the best overall, well-rounded, balanced team probably that I've been on.
I think they had a fighter's chance against the Bulls.
Yeah, we beat them we beat the Bulls in the regular season. And listen, man, it would have been so cool to go through that battle in the playoffs with them, but we didn't get that chance.
I mean, the battles that Jordan had at the Garden against the Knicks, I mean, there were nights where he just would decide, I'm going to score 50 tonight, and there's not anything anyone could do about it. Yeah.
I mean, people ask me, the toughest person to guard, I mean, that's obviously the first for me. I would say Tracy McGrady was probably the second one. But the thing about, you know, Michael is he, not only was he such a fierce competitor, he was very smart, right? He was very efficient and didn't waste any movement. And if you go back and look at even, you know, clips of him even back in North Carolina, in his early days in Chicago, you see how explosive he was. So usually when people are that explosive, they can get out of control, or they don't have the polished skill level early on. And Mike had all of that from day one, and he had the drive. So by the time, you know, he got to those years, he had it all. And you know, and in talking to Phil Jackson a lot, even when he was with us with the Knicks, you know, I love picking his brain about everything, you know, life, coaching Michael, coaching Kobe, and you know, the one thing that he said even then is that Michael learned to be a leader, even though he was a great competitor. You know, he just learned to be a good leader over those years too, and to kind of understand how to drive his teammates the way he was driven.
Now, some of the younger fans who don't remember, they try to put down the players from the 90s, saying that they weren't as athletic, they weren't as good as they are now. But I look at those players from the 90s, and I think that might have been the peak NBA. It's just how good it was. Every team was loaded, every team was deep. And Jordan just beat all of them.
Yeah. Well, every era, when you look back, every era tries to advance things. They advance their skill level. They push the needle in terms of what they can do. I mean, if you look at the way players now are doing things that we never would have thought of doing. You know what I mean? And you know, I just think that it's the same way.
Yeah, the three-pointer's become more of a weapon these days.
Yeah.
Back then there was a hesitancy to really use it.
Right. Well, the court, you know, you had the format of the floor was different, right? Meaning you had big guys stayed in a certain area on the floor. They didn't go on the perimeter much, and big guys didn't, right, have the ball handling skill, the perimeter skills that they have now. So the game was different. I remember back in 2008 when Mike D'Antoni came to the Knicks, and watching how he coached and how he spread the floor, how he coached the way he did in Phoenix. So you start to see the game change. But when I don't think players are critical of the 90s players or us. I think when we played, we looked at how individual players played back in the 70s and 80s. And there were things that we tried to do differently. The technique, defense was, there was a lot more scouting. There was a lot more analysis. So that's gonna make you think to do things differently.
Now you went to University of Tennessee.
Thanks, guys.
And of course, the Knicks always have a good connection to Tennessee over the years.
Yeah.
Now, when you were at Tennessee, the men's program was decent, but you had the legendary women's coach, Pat Summitt. What was it like being around her program while you were with the men's program at Tennessee?
Amazing. It was amazing. Getting to see Pat and the drive and the competitiveness that a lot of the women athletes, competed with. It was really amazing. I mean, just to see all those great players that came through there. God bless her soul, Nikki McCray, Shamika Holdsclaw, Lisa Harrison. There was so many great women's players. And then for me, I came there because my father was my coach. My dad was the first black coach in SEC history. So when he came black head coach in SEC history. So when he came, it was like I was there to play for something so much bigger than basketball, and I was fortunate, that I got to play in that conference. You had Shaq, you had at the time Chris Jackson, Spree, Jamal Mashburn. There was Laterro Green. There were so many great players that came from the SEC during that time.
And Tennessee this year had a really good season. I noticed that they're, and we're recording this just before the conference tournament.
Yeah.
And they hope to have a big year.
Who's been some of your favorite walks?
I did Scott Van Pelt.
You did Scott? Okay.
Yep. Mike Francesa, Saquon Barkley, that's coming out in a few weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah. It looks like the Giants didn't really want to do anything to try to keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, but J.J. Watt was another good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and of course Dave Portnoy.
Okay.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only getting started. This is gonna be a great thing.
Yeah.
And some of the things we like to try to do is talk about the charities.
Yeah.
And I know you got a good one called FISLL.
Yeah.
What does FISLL do?
So FISLL is first of all, it's an acronym for faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, and legacy. And FISLL is, I really look at it more not just as a line of products or experiences, but it's a mindset. We all need a way to think in life. We need guidance. We need values. We need principles. To help us move to another level. So FISLL came because my father again had a big influence on me, and I was around a lot of really great leaders growing up, and we did a lot of listening and working with young men specifically who needed that father figure in their life, and that's where the principles came from. Even the Bible talks about needing wisdom and instruction, growing up, and so that's what it is. It's a framework. So we work with a lot of youth and leaders to give them principles and give them a strategy, give them guidance in every area of their life. So we were able to start working in the area of merchandising and media. So one of our biggest goals right now is to just get young people to talk about values, talk about faith and values, and how that can help them have success in life.
I mean, how long have you been doing this program?
So we started back in 2002, 2003 doing a lot of mentoring programs, a lot of life coaching, workshops, retreats. And then in about 6 years ago, I was able to expand FISLL into a multimedia and merchandising brand.
Oh, beautiful.
So now we produce content, we do live events, and we also have merchandise throughout the NBA, about 30 colleges, and WNBA licenses. And so, our goal is to really use things that are important to our culture, youth culture, and to give them values and to inspire them to talk about why values are important. And when you look at the landscape of our world, mental health, social, emotional well-being, it really is what separates you when you're growing up is your character, and that's what counts. And so that's what we're about.
I always feel that mental health is severely overlooked when it comes to this country. I mean, especially when I worked at the courthouse for 16 years, and and it was criminal court, so I saw a lot of drug cases. Mm-hmm. And it's just stunning how much that this like the drug gets a hold of people, yeah. And no matter what, they can't let it go. Yeah. And yeah. I think that they need more programs like this, yeah. To get them clean, to get their mental health right.
Yeah.
instead of just locking them up and throwing away the key.
There were young people, all of us, but specifically young people, because of the way the world is now with media, we've become such a narcissistic world. We're worried about so many external things that it's like they need to understand what identity and purpose really is. And when you look at a lot of the things that hurt us as people, it comes down to that, not knowing who we are and what we're here to do, and having that support system to really support us, but hold us accountable to move in a positive direction. So, you know, you gotta facilitate those dialogues. You gotta facilitate those experiences for young people.
And it's very good. It sounds like a very good program. And now you have it started here in New York, probably, well, obviously, I would say. But where else have you expanded this program into?
So we're in Newark, New Jersey. We have 3, going on 6 public schools that we have the programming. Stamford, Connecticut. I mean, we pretty much do them, you know, all over the country and globally. We've done programming globally. I think the cool part is that, you know, all the products that we sell, like this right here. I know I got something for you.
Beautiful.
This is one of our items. We're actually launching a monthly connectivity call, and just encouraging youth and leaders to come in and just talk, right? Talk about what's going on in their life and how, you know, these values can help them. So we're really kind of not limiting ourselves to any particular geographical area, because the world is, you know, so connected now. We want to use that for a positive way.
I lived near Newark my whole life.
Yeah.
And my father was a Newark school teacher, public school teacher, for 25 years, and it's often overlooked. It's often ignored and looked down upon.
Yeah.
And I think anything you could do to try to help this city of Newark is always a good thing.
I mean, you know, youth education, we can't let it fall apart. We can't let it fall. And it does. A lot of it comes down to how we can encourage the parents, the teachers, the coaches, so because they're the influencers. They're the ones who are mean the most to our kids every day. So we have to put things in place and give them tools and strategies to help build our kids up.
Very important. Yeah. Well, Matt Jenks said that you played him in a charity game one time, and he shook you like Olajuwon.
I don't even know if that's how you can consider that even a rumor. A rumor is something that actually gets spread. And I don't even know if that spread past his thought life. No, but Matt's a good dude, man. He's very competitive, and he's, you know, all you can ask for someone is to play hard, right?
Hey.
Frankie, what up? I see you, Frankie. Frankie got love out here in the New York streets.
It's crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is Frankie. This is him.
Now, I heard that you had 50 points against Kobe Bryant once. Did you always talk mention that to Kobe whenever you saw him?
Well, first of all, I mean, I never say that was against, people always want to say it was against Kobe. I mean, it was really, you know, that was a fun West Coast trip. And, you know, I had before that, we played the Lakers in the Garden, and I got caught in a screen, and my wrist just got crumbled. Like, it didn't break or anything, but couldn't come back. And I heard a couple people say Allan didn't want to come back because he didn't want to play, and that just burned me up, man. You know, so when I went out to LA, I mean, I didn't say, man, I got to have a big game. It wasn't really like that. I think most of the time when you have a game like that, you don't really know beforehand. It's just, you just get going, and things started flowing. And But people want to make that a game that it was like more personal. Kobe wasn't like that at all. It was just, by the time I got going, they had a couple people guarding me. And when anybody will tell you, like, when a guy gets going in this league and a score gets going, like, there's not a lot you can do. That's just his night. But I do remember that the Lakers, I knew Phil had a philosophy that he didn't like double team me. So he was just going to say, look, whatever he gets, he's going to get. We're going to count on, him getting what he gets, and not everybody else, holding their own. But everybody got enough, right? And biggest thing is we went away with the win. That's all that really mattered.
That is what matters. Winning the games.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back this way.
So how long you been doing your walks, man? What made you decide I'm gonna do these walks?
Well, it started when we went to a Notre Dame game, and we had a long walk from the where we were parked to the stadium, and then we started talking. Hey, how about we do this regularly?
Yeah.
And then about a week later, we started doing them.
Yeah.
And it's now been 166 straight days.
So how many do you do a week?
7.
You do it every day?
Every day.
And every day, do you have a guest, or you just say, I'm gonna do it every day?
The guests have only started recently, but
right.
Whether we have a guest or not, we have to get the walks in.
Do you have, when you walk, do you always like document it or at least log it, or how do you do it?
Yeah, we do a little video.
Got it.
A little quick video. And that's what Matt's working on right now, is the video.
Okay.
And it's one of the good things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Of course, I'm a big Mets fan.
Okay.
And yesterday, it looks like he's gonna be okay, but Darryl Strawberry had a little minor heart attack last night.
Dang, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, he had to have a stent put in.
Wow, I did not know that. Dang.
And I hear you talking about faith, and I know he's
Yeah.
a great man of faith now. He's runs his own church, and so.
Man, we got to lift him up in prayer, man.
Yeah,
I got a chance to
send out a little prayer for what happened.
Yeah.
Send out a little prayer for Darryl.
For sure. Great man of faith. A guy who I always respect, because he always wanted to use the gifts that he's been given to to help people, to spread a message of faith, and that this life is not our own. It's bigger than us, and I've had a chance to spend some time with him and do some work with him, talking about fatherhood and how important it is, again, for young men to have that male figure that's a positive person of guidance in their life. And man, praying he's gonna be okay. Praying he's gonna be. I believe he will.
It looks good. He tweeted out some pictures from the hospital bed. Looks like he's doing well. They just like they put the stents in to clear whatever blockage it was, but
Frankie.
I'm really glad that it looks like he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
He's like, he's one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah.
Being a fan of the '86 Mets, I remember, and his son played briefly in the NBA.
Right.
Went to Europe
DJ.
after that.
Yeah, DJ.
I remember his son running around the stage and bothering Ed Koch during the Mets victory celebration.
Running around the stage.
Yeah, he was like I think he was like 2 years old at the time, just running around the stage.
Wow.
You know how 2-year-olds always like fun to go running around.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing, man.
The Mets drive me insane. By the way, they have ripped the heart out of my chest so much. It's like that scene from Temple of Doom where the guy rips your heart out of your chest and they hold it up and laugh it.
Right.
I mean, just so many years of just disappointment and heartbreak and just bad things happening.
Give me your top 5. Give me your top 5 all-time Mets.
Top 5 all-time Mets?
Yeah.
Well, in my fandom,
okay,
which is 40 years now, it would be Mike Piazza,
okay,
Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, David Wright, and probably Keith Hernandez.
Okay.
With Gary Carter just kind of being left just kind
trying
of
to sneak in there, but he just couldn't get in the door.
Yeah, just
Gotcha.
just too many other people.
I got you. Nothing
Carter,
against him. It's just
Gary and Keith are like close,
Okay.
but I guess Keith Hernandez's broadcasting career put him over the top.
Okay. That's awesome, man.
I mean, Dwight Gooden, when he was in his prime, it was like nothing else going to see him pitch.
Dr. K, man, that was special. And he was only 19, right?
19 in 1994.
Uh-huh.
And he made his debut on Rookie of the Year, 17-9.
Wow.
And the next year he won the Cy Young, and when he won the Cy Young.
Let's just walk down here and then go back down this way.
When he won the Cy Young, he went 24-4, had an ERA of 1.56.
I'll get on this side so you can get the camera from this side. They all blowing at you, Frank. I'm with him. I'm with Frank.
And my NBA, I've just become a Knicks fan.
Okay.
But my NBA fandom is a little more random.
Okay.
I mean, I like the Bird Celtics.
Okay.
Then they traded Danny Ainge.
Well, man, you just said you just become. That's like the 80s, man. I mean, how did that?
Well, that was the Bird Celtics.
Okay.
And then I became a Phoenix Suns fan when they had Charles Barkley.
It's kind of right. Okay. Okay.
Then I decided to become a Nets fan, just root for the local team, and they were still in Jersey at the time.
Right.
And then when they left Jersey, I kind of like drifted away from the NBA for a decade.
Wow.
But I didn't really.
That's the first time I've heard someone say, "Man, when the Nets left Jersey, I just left the NBA."
Yeah. And then they got this big tree, and then that imploded, and I was finally like, you know what? I've had enough of this franchise. I might as well root for the true New York team.
Hey, you might as well.
And that's
man.
that's how I became a Knicks fan.
It's the tri-state area is.
I've been accused of the Barclays Center too, and
yeah,
I don't love that arena. Mm-hmm. It's not like the Garden. The Garden is the greatest basketball arena.
Yeah, you can't
ever.
It's nothing like this. Nothing like this place, man.
I mean, the Garden
can't really compare it to anything.
It really is the mecca of basketball.
Yeah.
And I think the NIT, even though nobody even cares about the NIT anymore, made a big mistake leaving the Garden.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's no different than the other tournaments for the teams that don't get in. Mm-hmm. But for those teams that got to the Garden, that actually was a little something special, even though you weren't in the real NCAA tournament. And at one time, the NIT and the NCAA were almost on equal footing.
Yeah.
And CCNY won both tournaments in the same year, in 1951.
Well, it's almost like the ABA and the NBA, right? At some point, right? You know, what's funny is
I love the ABA legacy too. I love reading about the ABA. I love that red, white, and blue basketball.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish the NBA would play special games with that ball.
Right. That'd be a cool idea.
I mean,
play a game with the red, white, and blue ball.
Yeah, especially when like two former ABA teams play each other.
Yeah.
Like Spurs, Pacers.
Right.
Throw an ABA ball out there every now and then.
Right. Well, when other college teams and people come and play in the Garden, I do believe they still feel the aura of it. They feel the history of it. They know that they're in Madison Square Garden.
I mean, there's no basketball arena like it.
Yeah.
Okay, you did win a gold medal in 2000 at in Sydney. What was like the Olympic experience like?
Oh man. Well, so many layers to it, right? You're as a kid, you see the Olympics growing. You see the Olympics on TV, and you see all these. You see the history, and the gold medal is symbolic, no matter what, of just the world and global history and triumph. And so you get a chance to represent your country. I think the one thing that was really cool about it is your teammates with some of the best athletes in the world, not even in your sport. We had like the Williams sisters, Lindsay Davenport. We had, tennis stars, track stars. I mean, in every area, and you're walking in the Olympic Stadium, and you're walking in Olympic Stadium, and it's just 100,000 people. You represent your country. That's pretty special. And then spending the whole summer with guys who you played against, competed against, getting to know them, hang out with them, practice with them every day, and finally getting to, stand on that medal stand and hold that gold medal up. It's something like to this day I look at as, when I'm in my house, I kind of walk by it and I just look at it and, to say you got a gold medal.
I think this year's going to be an interesting tournament because I think the world's basically caught up to the United States pretty much in some of the players now, how good the international market is. And I think that was built by the 92 Dream Team and the sending the professionals to the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, that Dream Team, that team really put the global game, the game of basketball on a global stage in a way that it hadn't been done before. And I mean, since that day, you look at some of the players that grace the floors of the NBA courts, and they attribute watching not only those games or the games after that, and because now players all over the world could actually see themselves playing at this level, and so it'll be interesting. I still think, I still think we have the best players in the world. I think it's a matter of us just coming together, and just putting it all together.
Well, Allan, thanks a lot for joining me. Yeah. This is a great walk, great experience, and hopefully you have a lot more success with FISLL and all your programs. And go New York, go New York.
Go.
Yes.
Man,
thanks a lot.
You, man.
Thank you for coming on.
I want to tell you, keep inspiring people, man.
Well,
a lot of people wouldn't take on the challenges you've taken, and we much respect to you. Keep you lifted up too, because a lot of people would not do what you're doing. Keep inspiring people, man. Don't look back. Don't look back.
I have to walk every day now. It's almost like I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it.
Yeah.
Even when I don't feel well, I got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a sinus infection recently, and I paddled through it, and somehow still got some steps in.
Right. Hey, just a little, just something.
Oh.
Just something. It doesn't mean you have to, take on the world, right? But you do something. You've done something, right?
Yes.
And something's more than nothing.
Yep.
So, no, I got a lot of respect for you, man, and appreciate you inviting me to be on this, take this walk with you. So, Frank, first of all, I appreciate you inviting me on this walk, man.
Well, I'm glad. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's a good conversation.
It's just the way we keep going. We're going to get more walks. More walks are going to be great, and that's going to inspire even more people. Yeah, man. And I just want to ask you, so this is really the main message of our brand, right? And it's about these 5 words, and you've already exemplified all these 5 words and just taking these walks, taking this step, taking on your challenge. But if I were to ask you, which one of these words sticks out to you and why, what would you say? Integrity. Yeah? Yes. You got to be true to yourself and true to everyone. I think integrity stands out the most. That's a blessing, man. That's real. Integrity is probably the might be the toughest, because that's always walking the right path and walking the right. It's no coincidence that you picked integrity, because that's about walking the right path, walking the right line, right? I love that. Oh, thank you, man. My man. Beautiful. My man. You know what it is.